Okay, so day 4 with the ATF-X. When I first did the review, I said I wasn't that shaken by the way I shot, and I was. I was shaken afterwards. I had trouble sleeping, and I'm thinking, is it the bow? Is it me? Is the bow tuned? Are the arrows wrong? Is the poundage wrong? All that stuff going on in my head, where I should have just been up close shooting arrows, getting my confidence up, just shooting. Anyway, I've been shooting every day since. Yesterday I wound the limb bolts up one turn because it's not that I felt the poundage was lighter. Well, I did. I felt the poundage was lighter. I felt like I could just do a little bit more with the poundage. I thought, well, I'll wind it up a little bit to see. So this is part of it. I would say I've been shooting better since. Not as good as I was with the ATF, especially not in the last 2 weeks, but better. Now with the grip, I'm feeling this grip quite different than the ATF. I'm feeling that the grip is wider, and I feel it in this part of my hand when normally I felt it in that part of the hand. So it's doing that. I feel like it's sort of slipping sometimes when I shoot. So it feels a lot higher, the grip, and a lot more bulky than the ATF. The bow itself feels nice. There's no shock. It's none of that. It's just taking me a bit to get used to this grip. And when I change my grip, it changes where the arrows go in the target. So let's try and see how these ones go. And hopefully they'll be a bit better than the review I did on Sunday. So all I'm looking for is confidence where I'm not thinking about stuff. When you buy new equipment, you're often thinking, you're like, is this right? Is that right? Is the trigger right? Is my thumb position right? Is it coming off cleanly? Is it better than what I had before? We should just be shooting and building up confidence with that item. And you often see in many of the reviews I do, I use the same stuff, and I've been using the same stuff forever. It's very rare for me to change my equipment. The only time I really change my equipment is when I do a review and I really like the product. I do like the look of this riser. I think it's substantially a better looking riser than the ATF. I did try the Meta riser to see if that felt better than the ATF-X. It felt pretty much the same kind of grip. Now there is a bit of wind. Shoulder's a little bit better, but it's still sore. I shoot better when my shoulder's not sore, so. But I do feel like I can put all the arrows in the gold. And when I say I feel like I can put all the arrows in the gold, the majority of the arrows in the gold, that's kind of where I want to aim at. To shoot a 280 out of 300, I'm pretty happy with. My best was a couple of weeks ago for about 287 indoor. I normally shoot about 270 indoor, so that's what I was averaging. But in the last 2 weeks, I've been shooting like plus 280, so that's with the ATF. But now with recurve, you can find your scores vary substantially. So, like I think when I shot the Nationals, my score varied from 250 to 270. Like I didn't clip in one of the limbs, which cost me a few points. But I did shoot some good arrows, but my scores did vary a fair bit. With compound, I'm very consistent. Part of that is the extra strength. You know, you're pulling back on your shoulder, you'll fatigue a lot more with the recurve. I find at home I shoot a lot quicker than I do at competition. At competition I tend to hold a lot more. So I fatigue a lot more at competition than I would at home. And that's not the case with the compound. With the compound I'm not really fatiguing. So I actually shoot better at competition with the compound than I do at home, but I shoot better at home with the recurve than I do at competition. It's not far off. I shoot 270s at home. I shoot 270 at competition. So, but I do feel I shoot a little bit better at home. Now the other rivals for the ATF-X is obviously the ATF-X Riser, which is also quite a high grip. Now Win have a whole bunch of grips they can put on their different bows, and that would be an option for me with this bow to try out the different grips they have. I tend not to do that. I just tend to shoot the same grip and the same stuff and try and get used to it. Because what might start off hard for me becomes easier the more I shoot it. I become familiar with it. And I might not like something at the start, but then after I shoot it for a few weeks or a few days, I start to like it. And that was a prime example with the PSE X Appeal Riser. I didn't like it in the review, and then after I'm shooting it for a while, I started liking the riser, and I shot that bow for probably about a year and a half. So I found with the ATF, especially in the last 2 weeks, I started to become very consistent with the bow. Wasn't the case at the start, but as I became more familiar and I was shooting a lot more arrows with it, I started becoming a lot more consistent with my whole shooting. The shooting was really improving, and it will with a recurve. The recurve, the more you shoot, the better you're going to shoot, because your muscles are going to become stronger and things are just going to become a lot more consistent. And yes, they will improve with the compound as well the more you shoot, but with the recurve it's more significant because you've got to release with these fingers. It's a lot harder physically on your body, a lot harder. It's a lot more critical on the shot if you line up the bow correctly with the recurve as opposed to the compound. If you release correctly with the recurve versus the compound. I'm still trying to get used to this grip. It just feels that much bulkier in my hand than the ATF. I feel like it's getting there, and I get no creaks at all with these limbs that I used to get with the ATF Riser. I'm just going to shoot one more. This is the one without the veins. Now, it was shooting more towards the middle of the group when I had the poundage wound down, which kind of sparked me thinking, well, maybe I should be increasing the poundage a little bit, and I wound it up one turn. You do that when there's no string on the bow. You loosen off the locking nuts at the back, and then you wind it up and down like a compound. Just gonna shoot one more. I can feel some tension in my front hand. I really don't want to feel anything there. I'm trying to feel it all between my shoulder blades. So alright, let's go and have a look at that group. Okay. As I sigh a breath of relief, all of those arrows are in the gold, which is good. That's close to 15 arrows, I think. So I'm pretty happy with that. Look, the group's not particularly tight, and I was shooting really tight groups. And when I'm shooting Robin Hoods, when I'm shooting my knocks off, I'm feeling pretty good about my grouping. Here I haven't shot any knocks off, and with the ATF I was shooting knocks off all the time with these arrows. And you can see here, while I didn't shoot any knocks off, look, the group's not bad. Some of those shots didn't feel great, but they're still in the gold, and I'm happy with that. Now with this group, this is my starting point. So to fine tune it, like the bear shaft's a little bit out, but it's kind of in a big bunch of arrows there. What I'm doing next, what I will do next, I'm not going to do it yet because I'm going to keep shooting. The most important thing is to keep shooting and be comfortable with the way you're shooting. Make sure your follow through is happening, make sure your form's correct. Once I'm confident with the way I'm shooting, that's when I start doing, when I say micro tuning, just a little bit of tuning, as far as, I might play with the plunger button tension a little bit. I might screw it in or screw it out, just a smidge, like little bit, not big bits. I see so many people make these big alterations, and I'm like, what are you doing? Everything should be straight down the line, everything should be 90 degrees. But you can play around with the pressure on the plunger button a little bit. You can play around with left and right a little bit, like just to give it a turn and so see if the groups come in. Look, I'm not unhappy with that, but I still want to improve. So this is a substantial improvement for me in 4 days. So with that, I just keep shooting, and there are some tight arrows in that group. But I just keep shooting and sort of see how it goes. So that's the ATF-X after 4 days. And I just got to keep shooting, and keep building the muscles and not hurt my shoulder too much in the process. I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Thanks for watching.